Hi, this is Diana. Welcome to the Amazing Race Recap, Episode 3, Paraguay. The teams start off and they go straight to the airport where teams Dave and Rachel, Art and JJ find out that there's an early flight at 8:45 to Paraguay and they get on standby for the flight. When the rest of the teams arrive, JJ is just incensed that they'd have the audacity to scurry around the airport trying to get a flight that is earlier. How dare they actually try to run the race? They're supposed to let him be the big guy and win. JJ is so freaking annoying in my opinion, and it has nothing to do with whether or not he serves the country or not. I'm as patriotic as the next person. I served my 6 years in the military. So anyhow, the FBI agents who lie about who they are and say they're teachers so that they're nicer to everybody and the other teams will like them, call other teams over and they get on the flight too. So there are 4 teams on the 8:45 flight, and that's Art and JJ, Dave and Rachel, then FBI agents, and the Kentucky boys. The rest of the teams are on a flight 2 hours later. When they land, they have to go through this, looks like a playground, but it's a supply store, and look for their clues. Once they find their clues, they've got to do their detour. And the detour is one of 2 things. You can stack watermelons in a 10 by 10 pyramid, or you can restring a harp. Well, they all choose to do the watermelons except for, well, the first group all choose to do the watermelons. The second plane arrives and they go ahead, and Rachel and Brendan go to the watermelons, as well as Vanessa and Ralph and a couple other teams. Art and JJ finish the watermelons right away. They head on to the next, the roadblock, which is you have to dance with a bottle on your head, and you have so many bottles, and if you break them all, you get a 2-hour delay. Art has gone on over and over about how they're in first place, how they're going to dominate the whole race, they're better than everybody else, and they come in to the pit stop way before everybody else. And for this, I am so grateful. Thank you, JJ, for coming in first, because now I don't have to listen to your mouth for the rest of the show, and I can actually enjoy it. Bye, JJ. Enjoy your first place. There's a lot of legs left in this race. Okay, so back at the watermelon snacking, Vanessa, who has clearly, make no mistake about this, that girl was a card-carrying member of the Brittany Haynes fan club from Big Brother 12. No doubt in my mind, she watched Big Brother 12. She has a vendetta against Rachel, who has done nothing to her. So they're at the watermelon thing, and Rachel's trying to get her watermelons, Rachel Riley, and Vanessa's blocker, and Vanessa is so consumed with trying to agitate Rachel that she's not paying attention to what she's doing. And Ralph is like, pay attention over here, let's do our thing. And then Rachel's bending over and she's trying to get watermelons, and of course Vanessa does that crass, oh, I can see her, ha ha, and she's making fun of Rachel, and this is what makes me think she's a Brittany Haynes fan. Look, Rachel was wearing a pair of black pants from the hip to the feet, and she wasn't doing anything wrong at all. It's just a mean girl trying to be a mean girl. So Rachel decides, look, I'm not going to sit here and listen to this. Let's cut bait. Let's go and do the harp thing. So, all right, now, Dave and Rachel, the army man and his wife, have the express pass. They arrived at the watermelons. They did not work well together. They decided to leave the watermelons and go over to the harp. By the time they'd gotten to the harp, the other teams had either been to the watermelons and gave up and went back to the harps, but there were 4 teams there when Dave and Rachel showed up. So at that moment, they decided to use their express pass. Now, I must be missing something, because I thought the express pass got you to the pit stop, but instead it took them to the roadblock, and the roadblock with the bottles on the head. And Dave failed at it miserably, used all his bottles, and still had to take a 2-hour penalty. Now, I thought at the time that they used their express pass that it was foolish to use it. I thought, you know what, you can come in 6th or 7th. You don't have to be first every leg. But looking back at it, had they not used their express pass, they would have been eliminated from the race. Now, Rachel and Brendan leave the watermelons, go to the harp. They are the last to arrive at the harp. There have been 5 other teams there. Dave and Rachel had already left with the express pass. 4 other teams were building their harp strings when Rachel and Brendan showed up. Rachel zipped through that detour, got it done before all of the other teams, got themselves to the roadblock before all other teams, finished the roadblock, and then got to the pit stop. In the race to the pit stop with the Guidos, she got very emotional at the end, but she had just killed both a detour and a roadblock, and then, got so emotional at the mat, which is, that's Rachel. When Rachel is good, she's really good. When she's emotional, she's really emotional. Now, back at the watermelons, Vanessa and Ralph are just self-destructing. At the harps, the twins, Andrew and Elliot, Andrew is just like a basket case through this entire thing. He just stood in Elliot's way more than anything else. So karma's coming back on Vanessa a little. When you spend your time trying to be mean to someone, look where you're at. They did not finish the watermelons until nighttime fell, and they thought they were the last people and that they were being eliminated. They had no idea, however, that Elliot and Andrew were over at the harps, and they thought they were the last people, and they were being eliminated. And she says, well, I'm trying to set a good example for his 13-year-old daughter by finishing and, saying that I didn't quit. Well, try to set a good example and not be such a mean girl, too. That might be a nice thing to do. So, we've got the Elliot and Andrew and Vanessa and Ralph race to the mat. They get to the, Elliot and Andrew finally finish the harps after giving up for a while. Had they stuck to it, they would have finished earlier and been okay. But they quit for a while, and then they went back. Now, when Elliot and Andrew get to the water bottles, it's Andrew again. And Andrew has no composure, and he keeps dropping bottles. Vanessa and Ralph get to the water bottles and realize, oh my gosh, we're still in this thing. So Ralph goes and does the task, and he beats Andrew, and they beat Andrew and Elliot to the mat by just a few seconds, and Andrew and Elliot are eliminated from this leg in the race. Dave and Rachel went from being first in 2 legs of the race to an absolutely disastrous leg. And that is the way this race is. I got to give kudos to Amazing Race. First of all, very diverse and very go-get-it cast. There are a lot of people who have the potential to go far in this race, and even if I can't stand JJ, he will be a player for a long time. But Dave and Rachel, I like them as a couple. I don't have any problems with them, even though they align themselves frequently with Art and JJ. In fact, I feel sorry for Art. You barely hear Art's voice. All you hear is JJ. Anyhow, but this race and this leg of the race was one of the best legs I've seen in a long time. It was hard, and it pushed those teams to their limits. They were exhausted by the time they made it to that mat, and I just thought it was one of the best. I also love Mark and Bopper. They've really impressed me over the last 2 shows. They're fun to watch. They were a little deceptive today with the Mississippi girls, and the Mississippi girls said all bets are off. There's lots of different accents and personality, and I think this is shaping up to be a great Amazing Race experience. So, in first place was Art and JJ. In second place was Brendan and Rachel. In third place was the Guidos, who'd come from so far behind the week before. In fourth place was Mark and Bopper. Fifth place was Neri and Jamie, and in sixth place, Dave and Rachel. Seventh place was the Mississippi girls. Eighth place was Vanessa and Ralph, and the losers for tonight are Elliot and Andrew, and that's my recap of the Amazing Race.